It's 5 p.m. and you are heading home after a long day of work. As your mind thinks about what there is for dinner or how tomorrow is going to look like, deep within your midsection, right at this exact moment, your visceral fat cells are preparing for tonight's decision. Will they release stored energy, or will they multiply? You don't know it yet. But in the next 90 minutes, you'll make 3 seemingly innocent choices. These choices will completely determine whether you wake up tomorrow leaner, or whether you wake up more inflamed, more insulin resistant, and carrying more dangerous organ fat than you did this morning. Here's what nobody tells you. Your body doesn't gain fat during the day, it gains fat at night. While you sleep, while you think you're recovering. And the trigger? It's not your dinner, it's what happens in the 2 hours after your dinner. Most people think metabolism is about morning routines and breakfast. That's only half the story. The other half, the half that actually determines whether you store or burn visceral fat, happens between 6 p.m. and midnight. Let me explain something that's going to disturb every fitness influencer you follow. You can eat perfectly clean all day, you can hit the gym at 5 a.m., you can drink your green smoothies and track every macro, and still wake up fatter than yesterday, because of a single evening mistake you don't even know you're making. This isn't about willpower. This isn't about eating less. This is about chronobiology, the science of biological timing. And, specifically, it's about what happens when your circadian rhythm collides with modern life. Your organism runs on an ancient operating system. For 200,000 years, humans consumed food during daylight and fasted through darkness. Your metabolism, your hormones, your digestive enzymes, they're all programmed for this sequence. But now you're consuming food at 8 p.m. under artificial lighting, scrolling Instagram, stressed about work emails, with your nervous system firing as if you're being hunted by a predator. Your organism has no concept of how to process this contradiction, so it executes the only thing it can. It stores everything as fat and prepares for emergencies. Let me show you the 5 biological signals that determine whether your organism burns fat overnight or stores it. These aren't tips, these aren't hacks, these are mechanisms. Signal 1. The circadian consumption window. Why 7 p.m. is your metabolic cutoff? Your liver has a clock. Literally, it's termed the hepatic oscillator, and it governs how your liver processes nutrients based on time of day. Between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m., your liver is in processing mode. Enzymes are active, insulin sensitivity is elevated, your organism efficiently converts food into energy. After 7 p.m., your liver starts shutting down. Enzyme generation drops by 40%. Your pancreatic function decreases. Your insulin sensitivity plummets. What does this mean practically? The exact same meal, consumed at 6 p.m. versus 9 p.m. creates completely different metabolic outcomes. A 2019 research study from the Salk Institute tracked 2 groups consuming identical calories. Group 1 consumed between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. Group 2 consumed between noon and 10 p.m. Same calories, same macros, different timing. After 12 weeks, Group 1 lost an average of 8.6 pounds of visceral fat. Group 2 lost nothing. Some gained weight. Why? Because their liver was attempting to process food when it was supposed to be in repair mode. The protocol. Your final bite of food should occur no later than 7 p.m., not the start of dinner. The final bite. This gives your organism a minimum 12-hour overnight fast before breakfast. What happens during this fast? At hour 8, your insulin drops to baseline. At hour 10, growth hormone begins rising. At hour 12, your organism shifts into ketosis. It starts burning stored fat for fuel. You're literally reprogramming your metabolism during sleep, but only if you stop consuming early enough. This is signal 1. Meal timing governs metabolic state. Signal 2. The carbohydrate cutoff. Why evening carbs lock your fat cells. Here's something your physician probably never mentioned. Insulin sensitivity follows a circadian pattern. You are most insulin sensitive in the morning and least insulin sensitive at night. This is governed by a protein called BMAL1 in your pancreatic beta cells. BMAL1 peaks in the morning and crashes in the evening. Translation: the same 50 grams of carbohydrates from rice or bread will generate a 40% higher insulin spike at 8 p.m. than at 8 a.m. Here's why that matters. Insulin is the fat storage hormone. When insulin is elevated, an enzyme called hormone-sensitive lipase, HSL, gets deactivated. HSL is what dismantles stored fat. Without it, your fat cells are locked. You could be in a caloric deficit, you could be hungry, your organism will still refuse to access stored fat because insulin has the final authority, but there's something even more damaging that happens with evening carbs. They suppress growth hormone release during sleep. Growth hormone is your organism's most powerful fat-burning hormone. It peaks during deep sleep, specifically during the first 90 minutes. But growth hormone and insulin have an inverse relationship. When one is elevated, the other is suppressed. If you consume carbs at night, insulin stays elevated for 3 to 4 hours. This blocks your first wave of growth hormone. By the time insulin finally drops, you've already missed your most anabolic fat-burning window of the night. The protocol: after 4 p.m., limit carbohydrates to vegetables only. No grains, no fruit, no starchy carbs. Your evening meal should be constructed around protein and non-starchy vegetables. Example: wild-caught salmon, asparagus, and a side salad with olive oil. Or grass-fed beef, sautéed spinach, and roasted Brussels sprouts. You're giving your organism the nutrients it needs without triggering the insulin response that blocks fat burning. This is signal 2. Evening carbs determine overnight fat oxidation. Before we continue with the remaining 3 signals, if you just realized your evening routine has been destroying your metabolism without you knowing it, subscribe to this channel right now. I break down the exact biological mechanisms that fitness influencers can't explain, so you stop guessing and start understanding what's actually happening inside your body. Hit that subscribe button. Now let's continue. Signal 3. The parasympathetic shift. Why stress after dinner makes you fat. Most people finish dinner and immediately enter what I call digital stress mode. They sit on the couch, open their laptop, scroll through emails, watch the news, argue on Twitter. Their meal is sitting in their stomach, but their nervous system is in fight or flight mode. This is a biological disaster. Here's why. Digestion is a parasympathetic process. It requires activation of the vagus nerve, which triggers rest and digest physiology. Blood flow needs to go to your digestive organs. Your heart rate needs to slow. Your cortisol needs to drop. But when you're stressed, even if you're just sitting, your sympathetic nervous system is dominant. Blood flow gets diverted away from digestion toward your muscles and brain. Your gut motility slows down. Food sits in your stomach fermenting. This causes 3 problems. 1. Incomplete digestion leads to endotoxin production, bacterial waste products that trigger inflammation. 2. Elevated cortisol blocks insulin function, causing reactive hypoglycemia and late-night cravings. 3. Poor gut transit means you wake up bloated and constipated with inflammatory cytokines circulating in your bloodstream. All of these signal to your organism: emergency mode, store fat. The Japanese have a concept called hara-hachi-bu, eat until you're 80% full. But they also have another practice that Westerners ignore. They walk after every meal. Within 5 minutes of finishing dinner, leave your house. Walk for 15 to 20 minutes at a conversational pace. No music, no podcast, just walking and breathing. This does 4 things simultaneously. 1. Activates your parasympathetic system through rhythmic movement. 2. Improves glucose disposal as your muscles pull sugar from your bloodstream without needing insulin. 3. Stimulates peristalsis through gentle mechanical movement of your intestines. 4. Lowers cortisol through bilateral stimulation and optic flow. When you return home, you're in a completely different metabolic state. Digestion is optimized, stress is down, fat burning is primed. This is signal 3. Your nervous system state determines nutrient partitioning. Signal 4. The light-dark cycle. How your living room is making you insulin resistant. This is the signal most people completely ignore, and it's destroying their metabolism. Your organism produces a hormone called melatonin. Everyone knows melatonin helps you sleep. But almost nobody knows that melatonin receptors are located in your pancreatic beta cells, the cells that produce insulin. When melatonin rises at night, it's supposed to tell your pancreas, shut down insulin production, we're fasting now, switch to fat burning. But here's the problem. Melatonin production is controlled by light exposure. Specifically, blue light wavelengths, 450 to 480 nanometers, suppress melatonin by up to 90%. Your LED lights, your TV, your phone, your laptop, they're all blasting blue light directly into your retinas until midnight. Your brain thinks it's 2 p.m. Your pancreas keeps producing insulin. Your growth hormone never rises. Your organism never enters repair mode. A 2017 study from Northwestern University showed that just 3 hours of evening blue light exposure decreased insulin sensitivity by 20% the next morning. That's one night. Do this every night for a year and you're looking at prediabetes, regardless of your diet. The protocol. At sunset, your home needs to become a dark, warm environment. Here's exactly how. After 6:30 p.m., turn off overhead lights. Use table lamps with warm bulbs only. 2700 Kelvin or lower. 7 p.m., put your phone in another room. If you must use it, enable night shift to maximum and wear blue light blocking glasses. 8 p.m., no TV. Read a physical book under warm light or have an actual conversation. 9 p.m., lights completely off except for dim amber night lights. What you're doing is allowing your melatonin to rise naturally for 3 to 4 hours before sleep. This creates a powerful insulin sensitizing effect overnight. When you wake up tomorrow, your fasting insulin will be lower, your fasting glucose will be lower, and your organism will be in fat-burning mode before you even consume breakfast. This is signal 4. Light exposure after dark governs metabolic hormones. Signal 5. The temperature protocol. Why you need to sleep cold to burn hot. Your body temperature follows a circadian rhythm. It peaks around 5 p.m. and reaches its lowest point around 3 a.m. This temperature drop isn't random. It's essential for deep sleep, growth hormone release, and metabolic repair. But here's what most people don't know. The magnitude of this temperature drop directly correlates with the amount of fat you burn overnight. Your organism has 2 types of fat. White adipose tissue, that's the fat you want to lose, and brown adipose tissue, that's metabolically active fat that burns white fat to generate heat. When your environment is too warm, BAT stays dormant. You don't need to generate heat, so you don't burn fat. But when you sleep in a cool environment, 60 to 67 degrees Fahrenheit, your organism has to work. Your BAT activates. It literally burns white fat to maintain core temperature. A 2014 study from the NIH showed that sleeping at 66 degrees Fahrenheit for just 1 month increased BAT activity by 40% and metabolic rate by 10%. Participants burned an extra 100 to 120 calories per night while sleeping, without any dietary changes. The protocol: 9 p.m., set your thermostat to 65 degrees Fahrenheit, 18 degrees Celsius. Sleep with minimal covering. Just a light sheet. Keep your room completely dark and cold. If you can't control the temperature, sleep with a window open or use a fan pointed at your upper body. You should feel slightly cool when you first get into bed, not shivering, but definitely not warm. Within 20 minutes, you'll adapt, and you'll sleep deeper than you have in years. When you wake up, you'll notice something different. You're not puffy, your face looks leaner, your stomach is flatter. That's not dehydration, that's actual fat oxidation. This is signal 5. Sleep temperature determines fat burning capacity. Here's how this looks in real time. 5:30 p.m., leave work. Decompress during your commute. No phone calls, no podcasts, just silence. 6 p.m., start preparing dinner. Protein focused, vegetable heavy, 0 refined carbs. 6:45 p.m., finish eating. Last bite by 7 p.m., latest. 6:50 p.m., immediate 20-minute walk, no distractions, just movement and breath. 7:15 p.m., return home. Lights dimmed, phone in the bedroom on silent. 7:30 p.m., read, stretch, talk with family, prepare for tomorrow without screens. 9 p.m., shower with warm water. Bedroom cold, 65 degrees Fahrenheit, lights off, 9:30 p.m. In bed, asleep by 10 p.m. That's no supplements, no equipment, no gym, just strategic timing and biological alignment. What happens when you follow this for 30 days? Your fasting insulin drops, your insulin sensitivity increases, your growth hormone production normalizes, your visceral fat becomes accessible fuel instead of toxic storage. You wake up with visible abs for the first time in years. Not because you did more crunches, but because you stopped blocking the fat-burning process that was trying to happen every night. This isn't about restrictions, it's about rhythm. Your organism wants to burn fat, it's trying every single night. You've just been interrupting the process with late eating, bright lights, stress, and warm sleep. The moment you stop interrupting, your biology takes over. Fat loss becomes automatic, not because you're trying harder, because you're finally working with your design instead of against it. Your belly fat isn't stubborn, your metabolism isn't broken, you're just operating on the wrong schedule. Starting tonight, you can change that. If you want more content like this, real mechanisms, real science, no gimmicks, subscribe to this channel. Drop a comment below telling me what time you currently eat dinner. Let's see how many of you are sabotaging yourselves without knowing it. I'll see you in the next one.